Community choices here, and oh boy did I not play enough in order to vote properly. Imagine being active in the first place anyway. Nonetheless, I managed to squeeze out the list, and here's what they are going to be. The list is arranged in alphabetical order based on artist name, and let's go right into it. So kicking off with Space Angel, which is the set for the quarterfinal entries of the Osu Beat Mapping World Championship 2020 between France and Argentina. Since the France team was the top place in the first round, it made quite a bit of noise when the team was defeated. France's entry was very good actually, but it lacks the consistency that is possessed in Argentina's entry. Let's credit the difficulties with the assigned names instead of the country since it's getting repetitive. Divine Quer shows a very clear idea in handling noise with the tumor vibrational slider notes, while Extra lacks that concept clarity. Not to mention the general structure and tidiness portrayed in Divine Quer is definitely stronger. Nonetheless, both difficulties have their own charms, and the match is undeniably one of the highlights of the tournament. The lower difficulties are comparatively lackluster though, especially the hard diff, which is a little bit saddening, but the whole set is definitely worth checking out. Next up, I voted for Dreamland, and it's heavily thanks to the hard difficulty by Zetra. It's quite perfect to be fair. The rhythm complements the song fantastically well, and the note placement is impeccably fun. I can't believe Zetra is able to maintain this consistency of quality for all these years. It's insane how talented he can be as a mapper. Additionally, Mao seems much more controlled in terms of aesthetics in the set by applying rather standard note placements and patterns, while still exhibiting his strength in rhythm, which is a really great thing personally, considering his recent style coined with movement mapping does not actually bode well with my own preference. As an overall note, an amazing song paired with great visual background and mapping. What's not to love really? The third set in the list is Vibrant, and oh dear, this is such a beautiful set. This is extremely strong as a debut for the mapper Akariri. The song choice and the storyboarding visuals are simply flawless, and the mapping is pleasant too, especially in the showcase of the slider arts during the climax at the 4-minute mark. Although the beginning parts can be a little bit weak because of the sparseness of the playfield occupation, but that's a minor issue to nitpick on. All in all, this set's very cool, and I'm definitely looking forward to what comes next. Well, after the chain of 3 EDM sets, we have a JRock set coming forth. Song choice is undefeatable, and same goes for all the tracks unlisted here actually, and so do the maps presented here. Credits to Ariel for the hard difficulty. The rhythm and note placement are quite unconventional when compared to the other sets, but once you get the grasp of them, the difficulty becomes very impactful with every hit, and it's just so much fun to play. The other difficulties by Mint are great too, without a doubt, and the mapping quality is carried over from around 2015 somehow becomes gems of utmost rarity in the current day, considering the mapping scene is ever changing and continuously evolving for better or worse. Not to delve in the wormhole of nostalgia, this set over here is relatively easy to play compared to the other sets in the list, but it is not to be taken lightly. Skeletons, what do I have here hiding from the mirror? It's a Rick Montgomery set by Deco and Handtrick. It's another case of really solid mapping. People often disregard this kind of mapping as generic, but they don't realize how difficult it is to execute with such consistency, and I'm all about the appreciation that these mappers deserve. We reach the halfway mark, so we'll have a short intermission around 1 second. The 6th entry is probably a popular choice in the community, considering the song choice and current favorite Ken, and it's Zoikyo, mapped by Zen. I think at one point he mentioned his pride for creating a set for the track that is more accessible to the player base, and he definitely deserves every compliment because it showcases his ability to extremely well in this set. There are some past occasions where his very structured mapping might be unsuitable for certain songs, but in this case it is quite great actually, pertaining the neat aesthetics while being rhythmically and flow-wise fun to play, and there's not much to complain about. One that it comes to 2 to the 3, and I'm talking about Self-Destruct map by Fusion NQN and the gang. The song choice alone already deserves a spot, but the difficulties definitely help to secure their place in my ultimate list of fame. I assume this egoistic nature will get me into trouble someday, but putting that aside, the gas difficulties add their own flavors into the spread, where Insane shows an interesting concept regarding contrast in distance spacing, while another is a decent all-rounder, but the highlights are still the maps by the host with the delicate details hidden within the note placements. I swear to god, these debut map sets nowadays are coming in strong. Now if I don't include more Japanese tracks, no viewer would be interested, so the next 3 sets are all Japanese tracks and you might want to be mentally prepared. I'm going to bombard the 3 sets in quick succession because there's not much to say, except that they are just really well polished and the tracks are bangers too. So the first of the trio is Narrative, mapped by Agatsu, where the main attraction would be the fluidity between notes, making the playing experience very satisfying. Somehow this map is very underrated and absolutely deserves more play counts that it currently has. Next up, it would be disappointing if there's no math rock sets that stand out to befit themselves in the list, and this Coast Pool set occupies the spot for the year. It's very hard to pinpoint it, but somehow his map structuring is very unique and distinguishable, and the distinct trait still remains for the set. Finally, the list is blessed with the power of JRock from the Polite set, hosted by Saito Kosuke. You think it'd be impossible to maintain a great balance in the spread for a set with so many guest tips, and yet the myths debunked just like that. That's the end of my list. Subscribe for a chance to be sponsored by Raid Shadow